So here's part two. So many people may not know the difference between a black church and a white church, especially in the 1700s. Well, there was a big old difference. And those differences still stand today in many ways. So let me read a quick backdrop. Interactions between enslaved people and Christian missionaries led to the spread of Christianity among Black Americans. Many slave owners initially resisted these evangelical efforts, partially out of concern that if enslaved people became Christians, they would see themselves as their owners' equals. By 1706, that's an important year, this fear by slave owners had spurred legislation in at least 6 colonies declaring that an enslaved person's baptism didn't entail their freedom. In addition, many enslaved people who did become Christians had to deal with restrictions by masters who forbade them from attending church or prayer meetings. To get around these restrictions and for alternatives to sermons by white clergy who consistently asked them to obey their owners, many Christian enslaved people held secret services with distinctive styles of praying, singing, and worship. These services were typically held in their cabins or in nearby woods, gullies, ravines, and thickets. So just in that alone, you can see the differences in what was being preached. In the 1700s, white clergy did not preach the full gospel. Black clergy did. This is why some slavers didn't want black clergy on their plantations preaching. Let me continue the reading. Historians say the biblical story of the Israelites' escape from Egypt provided a good deal of inspiration to the enslaved people. This was reflected in coded lyrics to some of their religious songs or spirituals. In Go Down Moses, for example, the lyrics plead with the Hebrew prophet to tell old Pharaoh, "Let my people go." Frederick Douglass wrote that when he was a child, before he had escaped slavery, a keen observer might have detected in our repeated singing of "O Canaan, sweet Canaan, I am bound for the land of Canaan" something more than a hope of reaching heaven. We meant to reach the north, and the north was our Canaan. So in that paragraph, you see how instrumental the black church was when it came to preaching the full gospel instead of what the white clergy were doing prior to the 1700s. Fast forward, the black church provides several things for the African American community, starting with psychological protection, secret communication, education, hope and salvation, a place to plan to rebuild communities, places to learn to read and write, especially during slavery. During the civil rights movement, the black church was a meeting point for everyone. The planning of rallies and protests, emotional and moral support, as well as spiritual support, guidance from the Most High, being led in wisdom sent by the Word of God, and a place to get the truth on how God loved them, and not a twisted doctrine that white slavers used. They learned the whole Bible.